Hi, I'm Jodi Daly, and this is Let's Talk. We have no problem taking our kids to the doctor to make sure they're healthy, or our cars to the garage to keep them running. But what about where you live? My guests today are going to tell us just how to keep our homes healthy, so don't go away.
Supermarkets can get pretty confusing nowadays. So many aisles, so many products. How can you save time and money when you shop? Get into the habit of buying your store's store brands. You get the same quality as national brands and save at the cash register. No apps, no coupons, just money in your pocket. Give them a try and smile your way through the supermarket.
For most of us, the biggest purchase we'll ever make is a house or a condo. But contrary to popular belief, your home doesn't take care of itself. And unfortunately, there are things we tend to neglect until it's too late or it's time to sell. Well, with me are three guests who have seen what happens when the tiny issues turn into financial nightmares. And the sad thing is most of those things can be prevented through proper maintenance. So welcome, everybody. First, we have Chuck Conant, and you manage a full-service building with more than 200 apartments and lots of amenities. And I'm sure that you've seen your share of real estate nightmares.
Yes, I have.
And next, Jeff, you are a contractor, and I bet you've given plenty of advice to homeowners over the years on how to keep the value up through basic maintenance and upgrades, right?
Yeah, yes, we have. That's the main thing that people ask us about is how do we keep the value that we have here?
Perfect. And Sue O'Brien, so good to see you again. You are a realtor from Rye, New York, and you have some pretty tough conversations, I bet, with people who are buying or selling homes on how to keep their properties really up there, right?
Oh, boy.
Yeah. Oh, boy, that will be the end of the conversation. No. Okay, I want to start talking a little bit very quickly about HVAC, which came up with every pre-conversation we did. So I'm going to start with you, Jeff. What is HVAC and why is it so important?
It's the heating, ventilation, and air conditioning system in your house. So the reason it's so important is in the winter, it keeps you warm, in the summer, it keeps you cool, but it's the airflow through your house. So if the HVAC system isn't working properly, not only are you not going to be comfortable, but the air that you breathe and your family's breathing 365 days a year is not going to be pure.
Now, when we talked, you called it the oil change of your house. Why did you call it that?
Because changing the oil in your car is something you have to do periodically, but it's a simple procedure that keeps the engine running. And the same thing with the HVAC system. It's just a very simple procedure of changing the filters out, having a professional in once a year for the duct system, and your system's going to work fine for a long period of time.
Now, Chuck, how is it different or the same for condo or apartment owners?
Well, condo high-rise, there's a difference because it's a common element between unit to unit.
So are we talking like
for
being
ventilation,
in a plane?
No, for ventilation, in our building that we have is a high-rise, which one unit passes through to another unit. So we have HEPA filters inside the ventilation system that's running vertically.
So that's why
That's
somebody
for
down the
ventilation,
hall is...
correct.
Okay.
Now, in our HVAC system, which is the heating and air, we have through-the-wall units, which are P-TEC units, and every unit owner can clean their filters.
What does that mean?
P-TEC is the type of unit.
Okay.
It is the type of unit that's like a wall air conditioner, if you will, where it slides through the wall. And in the face of that unit, there are filters that can be pulled out, rinsed out in the sink, and put right back in.
So as a homeowner who owns a condo, what do I have the power to take care of?
You have the power to take care of both.
Oh.
You have the power to put a filter in your ventilation system, which is sucking your exhaust out through the roof, and keep that clean, because you don't want to be getting smells from other units.
Yes,
And
unless
you
it's
al-
bacon.
unless
which
it's-
I love smelling from other units.
Unless it's something good. And on the air conditioning side and the heating side, you want to take care of it just as Jeff had said.
Okay, so this is huge, right? The smells and things. But Sue, when we were talking, you brought up something even more important when it comes to air, and that is carbon monoxide and smoke detectors. Tell us a little bit about, you have a quick story.
So we do a walkthrough every time when the house sells, and you have to make sure that there is not only a carbon monoxide outside of each bedroom, but also on each level, and definitely as the air is coming up from the furnace, that furnace that you just put the filter in.
Hopefully. Yes.
Hopefully. But it was very funny. I was with an inspector one time, and he said, you know, the most important thing is that the gas rises. That toxic gas rises from the floor. So you have all these systems up in the air. By the time it gets there, you could be dead.
So so you shouldn't have a carbon monoxide detector in the ceiling? Where do you have it?
So what he suggested was you do the plug-ins all down at the base of each of your rooms and in the hallways, and therefore, when it gets this far off the ground, it'll go off before it gets to even your bed level.
Oh, okay. Placement, very important. Public service announcement for today. What about dryers, clothes dryers and exhausts, things like that? How's that important?
What?
They're both jumping at the bit, so go ahead.
Right. So,
Jim.
but the first thing I would do with a clothes dryer is obviously it vents out to the house, outside the house, and there's a flap there. So what I would do once in a while is to make sure that that flap is actually working, because if you're drying your clothes and it's venting the heat outside, the air outside, and that flap is shut or not open properly, it's all going to come back in. And the same thing is similar to the HVAC system, that vent that goes out there needs to be cleaned out periodically.
So, Chuck, you were going to say something?
Yes, the difference between the structure that Jeff's referring to and what we have in a high-rise condo is that you can't get to the 11th floor to clean out from the outside. So what we do is we take them apart from the inside, vacuum them out with shop vacs, and if we need to, we will use a cordless leaf blower to blow outward.
Oh.
And that will do it as long as you're not using a gas appliance inside. You should be
Cordless
fine.
leaf blower. That's a good
There you
idea.
go.
What about a blow dryer? Would that work?
It's really not going to be strong enough to
okay.
do anything more than the dryer.
I was just trying to.
Yeah,
get in
no,
there.
that's fine.
So okay, we talked about air. Now the second thing is water. Water damage. So if you could talk a little bit about water in a high rise and what can happen and what we can keep from happening.
Well, what you really want to know in a high rise is where the shutoffs are for each individual fixture, so that if there becomes an emergency, you can shut it off. If you burst a supply line, if you have something that looks like it could burst.
Can you do that? Can
Yes,
you do that as a
can do
homeowner?
that as a homeowner.
Okay, good,
Yes.
good.
Yes. As far as drainage, you want to constantly look at your drains to make sure that they're not leaking or that any pipes look like they're seeping. If they are, you want to notify the building, because the vertical pipes usually are the building's responsibility. Any horizontal pipes are usually the unit owner's responsibility.
Yeah, and then sometimes that can really.
It gets into a gray
Yeah.
area, but
No, I mean
usually-
sometimes that can be dangerous, and all of a sudden the
Oh,
person
yes,
below you
right.
is looking
It's
up
looking
and
up
they're.
and yeah.
Yeah.
I've had it in the building where we've had leaks on the 6th floor, and they've leaked all the way to the 1st floor
Wow.
before anybody's realized, because there was no preventative measures taken with the shutoff valve.
Okay, so just know where your
It's
shutoff
know where your
valve is.
shutoffs are and make sure that they're operational.
And two things we talked about on the phone that I thought was really interesting: gutters, and something you said, runoff or sloping.
Right,
So,
and the water running away from the house. But dig back to what Chuck said. I think if I could tell somebody that's buying a house, the most important, if you only learn one thing, it's to know where that shutoff valve is. Because I know how many people I know that have had a pipe burst and they've called their plumber, and the plumber said, well, just, water's leaking, just turn the water off and I'll be there. Well, how do I do that? Well, just do your main shutoff, and they don't know where it is. So do you know how much water flows in 45 minutes
No.
when someone's looking for it?
A lot.
And then, right,
lot.
a lot. And then you know
Wow.
what the panic people go when they find it, when the plumber leads them through to find it, and there's no valve, there's no handle, and you need a wrench? That's a tremendous amount of water.
Time.
We had this in a house where it was $50,000 worth of damage, literally in a period time of 5 hours.
oh my
And it was all
gosh.
because they
Didn't know where the valve was.
weren't there in the beginning, and then they couldn't figure it out.
Wow.
Essentially, if you learn that, you're ahead of the game.
Know where your valve is. So tell me a little bit about gutters and why that's important. And
Right. So the
also
water,
sloping.
water damage is the main damage in a house, in a single-family
Hold on,
house.
$50,000 in 5 hours.
Unbelievable.
Wow.
We did better than that.
Good.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah,
You're in
we
an
had
apartment
6
building.
kitchens in less than 20 minutes.
Oh my God.
Water is terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a 4-inch pipe, and it's coming out. It's like a fire hose just coming out.
Oh, geez. Wow. So go ahead, Jeff.
So the water is the biggest damage in a house, and it's so simple mainly, unless a pipe bursts or something like that that's beyond control. But the couple of simple maintenance things are so simple, like your gutters. The water comes off the roof, it goes into the gutters. If you just clean the gutters out, most systems, they'll just run through the leaders and it'll run out and you'll be fine. But if you just have a little blockage in the gutter and the water can't, it has to go over the top. And then the simple thing, it might just go over and start to leak into your windows. But the main problem is if it goes down to the foundation, and the water will just pool there for a while, and that can slowly seep in. Or if it's there during the winter and it gets cold and then ices up and thaws in ice, and then you get cracks in your foundation.
So how often should you do your gutters, and when?
Well, obviously, when it's in the fall and there's a lot of leaves, I would check it at least once. I would check it once a month. But besides that, during the rest of the year, I'd do it, every 2 months or so, every 3 months.
Okay.
Because it's a simple thing.
But how expensive is that? And do you have to get up on a ladder, or should you get somebody else to do it?
Get your landscaper. Don't
Get the
fall off
landscaper.
there. Don't fall
Honey,
off there.
some of us don't have landscapers.
Okay, but you're
Just saying.
not getting up on the roof of the condo, though, right?
No.
That's right.
No, so
Sloping.
Right. So say you don't clean your gutters out, and the water comes over the top, and it sits there in the pools. Now, if your property slopes away, if the dirt slopes away, the water will run off. But if it's flat, right next to your foundation, it's going to sit there and pool. So if you need like 6 inches higher from your foundation, like over 10 feet, and the water will just run away. So even if you have gutters of a problem and the water comes over the top, instead of pooling, it'll just all go away. And once that water
okay.
goes away, then you shouldn't have any problems.
Wow, great. Well, this is so interesting because we've dealt with air and water, pretty basic and important. And when we come back, we're going to talk about keeping your house up to date and basic tips we should all have for a healthy home. $50,000.
Want to make your mealtime a little more enjoyable? Check out the ready-to-heat, ready-to-serve meals and side dishes offered at your favorite supermarket. Whether it's chilled or fresh or frozen, you can taste the cuisines of the world. And if you buy the supermarket store brands, you can be sure of quality and freshness at reasonable prices. Give them a try and add something special to mealtime.
Well, we're back and we've been talking about how to maintain your home, but Sue's going to give us a few tips on going beyond health. And you were talking a little bit to me about what we should do when it comes to renovations.
So there are a few things that are the most important things or the biggest bang for your buck.
Okay.
When you are going to sell your home or even if you're just going to live in it. What they say is do one thing every year. One thing.
What does that mean?
Do one update, whether it's painting, whether it's updating a bath, whether it's planting new flowers, whether it's replacing your window, whatever it is.
Sloping.
Sloping. Make sure you do one thing per year that enhances the value of your house. Now, I hear all the time, I don't have $50,000 to do a new kitchen, which is really what it does cost by the time you're done with the appliances. Instead, paint the cabinets. A, it's going to preserve the life of them. They have painters that can do an incredible job and then change the hardware. Now we have this new white kitchen, because everything is white now, or a pale gray, or even a blue they're using, and everything is crisp and clean and ready, and change your countertops, another cheap way of doing it, or a backsplash. Backsplash, you'd be surprised, is maybe $1,000 to change the whole thing.
Okay, I understand that, but you also said there's 3 main places that we have to keep our eyes out for.
So the kitchen is number 1.
Okay.
The master bath would be number 2.
Master bath.
Master bath.
Okay.
Everybody wants, it's the people that are buying the home, they want to make sure that they have a good place to live, and the family room would be number 3.
Okay.
And those 3 areas are of the utmost importance. So when you're updating, when you want to put money in, start in that order.
Well, you know, it's funny you should say that because I don't know if you guys watch those home shows, but every time they do a renovation, the 3 places they show you are the kitchen, the family room, and the master bath, and everything else is kind of like gravy. Now, Jeff, we talked also about not cheaping out on little things. What did you mean about that?
Right. So say you're redoing the kitchen and you put knobs in. Now, knobs are pretty simple, inexpensive. But if you're going to spend $1, why not spend $3? Say you have 40 knobs in your kitchen, so that's an extra $80. And people are going to walk into that kitchen. They're going to say, "Well, the knobs are cheap. What's the rest of the house? Is the rest of the house cheap?"
That's stuff we can't see.
So I could put this elaborate HVAC system in, and this, the electrician could be in there, and a music system. All the plumbing is great. But people are going to look at it and say, "Well, I bet it's cheap. I bet behind those walls are cheap," and you can't see behind the walls.
That's right. And Chuck, how about you? How do you keep the condo value up?
Well, we've done a lot of renovations in the common areas, which are seen. Our building that I just renovated is roughly 58 years old, and we put $3.4 million into the renovation, and we've upgraded the lobby. We've put new walls in. We've done a pretty spectacular gym, all-purpose room with a fireplace, things that people want to see. They want it to be modern and upgraded.
Yeah.
They don't want it to look like it's been there for 100 years.
Go ahead, jump in.
The lobby is it's so funny you should say that, because the first thing you see when you walk in a house is the front entrance. Please spend time on the front entrance. Flowers at the front, a door that's painted.
Clean. Clean is good.
And then when you walk in, some people have those runners that have been there forever. Just a little spruced up. Light fixtures, new light fixtures make a huge difference.
So very quickly, wrap up. One tip that you want to leave us with. So,
in the updating field, just choose smartly. The people that you're buying the things from really do know best because they've been doing it for a long time. Ask their advice. It's very simple. Also, one other thing I wanted to add for the house outside, power wash. Power wash your home every year. It will save the siding. It will also make your home look healthier and nicer.
okay, great. Jeff?
Change the filters, check the filters on your HVAC system once a month, and find out where that shut-off is.
The turn off, exactly. And Chuck?
I would agree with the shut-off. I would make sure you know where the shut-off is and just take care of your place the best you can.
Thank you so much. Really good information. I appreciate you all being here. And thank you at home for being with us too. Be sure to visit us at Store Brands USA, the channel here on YouTube, or go to storebrandsusa.com for shopping information, recipe ideas, and more. I'm Jodi Daly, and we will see you next time on Let's Talk. $50,000?
Incredible. Incredible.